Okay, ladies, I'm still doing my fasting. I'm finding it sometimes a little hard just based on if there's certain events like Easter and things like that. But I'm more curious about you, Tracy. Did you wind up doing any fasting?
I did. I did.
Congratulations.
I did.
And
And I got total support from Michelle over here because she was so gracious to say, I want to support you in whatever it is that we need to do to make this a success. And it's so interesting. I did it once and then I was like, I'm going to do it again. But I went into the second fast totally different than I did the first fast, and the second fast failed. Didn't make it. So, first of all, I totally believe that intention and setting yourself up beforehand is absolutely required. And it sort of was, it shouldn't have been, but it was kind of like an aha moment that, you know what, this is true for just about anything. And it's not that I spent a ton of time on it. It was like I chatted with Michelle, said to her, listen, I'm really afraid about doing this. We had a call. Did we have a call? I think we had a call actually. Yeah, we had a call. And she said, like, what's the deal? What's going on? And I, wrestled my demons about, kind of these challenges that I give myself. I drop a gauntlet and I have to take it. And it's just like, this is what I have to do. And we worked through why I really wanted to do this. So that was good. And then I set myself up because I put up notes on my refrigerator and my pantry that said, Tracy, stay out, you're fasting. And I kept a log beside the fridge that had columns on it because I think we may have talked about mindless eating or not. I'm not sure.
yeah,
If we
we talked
haven't,
about that in the past. Yeah.
okay, good. So, hey, I'm Tracy, guilty as charged.
Procrastination, eating, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I kept a log on this by my fridge that had a column of boredom, procrastination, actually hungry, and left that beside my fridge. Interestingly enough, I never got to the log because the note on the fridge was enough of a deterrent. Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to go in here. I gotta stay out. But in having said all of that, it was really interesting because I would say at the end of the whole thing, it was not nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be. I
Because I
really
wanted
thought,
to bring that up because if you haven't seen the episode where we talk about it, you were like petrified to do this, that you were so scared that you couldn't do it. You had that mindset. So
yeah,
I find that
yeah.
I want you to
And
unpack that a
having,
little bit more.
yeah, and having the call with Michelle and talking to her about my fear about failing in doing it is really, I mean, it really led to that whole aspect of I'm going to do this because this is truly what I want to do. And I want to know that I am capable of doing this. And I know I am. Like, this isn't like we're going to fast for a month
Yeah.
and then do a mountain trek afafterwards and then, try and reach
In the
enlightenment at
desert.
the top of a mountain, right? It's like, yeah, it's like we're talking like 36 hours or 40, whatever it works out to.
You went 40 something hours.
I did. I went like 42 hours because on the Tuesday morning when I got up, I was like, I'm really not hungry. And I thought, I want to honor that. I don't want to break the fast just because I can break the fast. I thought, I'm going to wait until I'm actually hungry and then I will break my fast. And it turned out that it was like, I don't know, at 12:30 or 1 o'clock. And I was like, well, I'm hungry. So I went and broke the fast. But there were periods during the fast. I will not lie. There are periods during the fast, which are my normal grazing periods, I'll call them. Periods where I tend to hit that afternoon slump and then I go to the fridge or the pantry to do that mindless stuff. Mindless eating, whereby it was hard. So I would say that like on the Monday between about 3 and 5 o'clock, it was like, oh, I really want to eat. I just, and then I would just simply ask myself, why do I want to eat? What's this about? And I literally came up with the answer that this is habit. This has got nothing to do with anything other than this is what I do. And that was interesting. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Like, I can be in and the discomfort didn't last for 2 hours. It would tap itself on my shoulder and say, hey, time to go to the fridge. And
Yeah.
I would, kind of go, "Ah, yeah, but I can't really do that. And asking myself, am I really hungry, or is this like what's happening? And it would be gone. Like the urge to actually eat or whatever had already dissipated at that point. So it wasn't a consistent thing, but it showed up, it tapped me on the shoulder quite a bit between 3 and 5. And then after dinner, like I went for a walk when my husband had dinner. Again, that was pre-planned. I don't know if I actually needed to do that, but I had pre-planned to do that. And so I came back after he had his dinner, and then I was like, I got this. There's not a problem here.
Yeah.
Like I'm good to go. So it was a very interesting experiment. And I patted myself on the back on Tuesday when I finally did break the fast to go, well done you. You did something that you were really unsure about completing and afraid of that failure, afraid of the story I would attach to it, and what that said about me as a person, which again, Michelle helped me through all the nonsense of that particular statement. But intention really was everything, because I thought the next Sunday rolled around. I thought, well, I'm going to do this again. And I didn't eat obviously after dinner on Sunday night, and then got up and reminded myself that I was supposed to be doing a fast, but the commitment wasn't there. Like it just was not there. And then, I got a case of the, it's, and like at about 11 o'clock, and just said, nah, I'm gonna have a piece of toast, don't care.
But don't you think that that's because the first one it wasn't like, again, I take away the eating part. You challenge yourself to do something that you didn't think you were really, like, you knew physically you could do it, but if you were capable of doing it. So the second Sunday, it's not like, do I want to incorporate fasting in my life? Probably not. Who knows? And so it's a different mindset. But the first one was, and that's what I go back, it's challenging you to do things out of your ordinary. And when you do things out of your ordinary and you succeed, it blows you away and you go, what? I did
Yes.
that. I could do this.
Yes.
I could do this. So that's where I think, like, that's why I did it originally. And then I feel actually, I'm now in this habit that I feel like if I stop, it's going to become a big thing. So, but it's just the mindset that I just think is crazy,
And
crazy good.
I did do a whole bunch of research on, like, it's actually called the Monk's Fast. I don't know if you know that, Tracy, but
Yeah.
it's actually called the Monk's Fast. And there's like a whole ton of people that do this starting Sunday night and all the way till Tuesday morning. There was a whole article on who the British Prime Minister is. I forget what his name is. He does it every weekend. And he believes it really improves his decision-making capabilities. I think it would be, for me anyways, I know that I would have to have intentionality on the Sunday before I actually started it. I would have to sit down with myself. And this isn't a long, arduous thing. Like even getting prepped, like the longest time I spent was with Michelle on the phone talking about why I was even doing this. After that, I mean, I spent some time on the Sunday going, okay, so I'm going to do a fast, and I'm just not, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my water. I'm going to have coffee, because I had to have my coffee. So I'm going to have my water. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to have some herbal tea if I feel like it. Not that I'm necessarily going to do that. And I never drink water. So my water intake went up, which was really good, obviously, for yourself on a whole. So, I mean, however long that takes, I mean, how long did that take me to even say it? Like 30 seconds. So like I spent like some time, but intentionally with that thought. And then I did the same thing on Monday morning. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to have our fast. You're going to carry on your day just as you normally do. We've already set ourselves up for success with the notes on the board, on the fridge and the pantry, and we're ready to go. And so I just carried on with my day. And that, I think, made the entire world of difference between my success and the second time when I didn't do any of that and just sort of went, oh yeah, I think I'll do it again. And not really had any set intentions and spent some time thinking about it. I think once you've done it a whole bunch of times, then you wouldn't necessarily do that. You know, it's like the challenge that I gave myself to walk for 30 days straight. It was like, I had to really, really, you know, that first couple of weeks, man, did I have to work on myself to do that? Now I don't even think about it. It's just like, yeah, when am I doing this today? You know, what part of the day does this fit into? And you just do it. So I think if I was to get onto a schedule of fasting, and it does intrigue me, I think it should be done for me personally. I think it should be done from a health perspective, at least a couple of times a month. I think it would be worthwhile doing for sure.
Now,
Like you said,
through this
it's for a
whole
reason.
thing, to support Tracy, I also decided to do the fast. However, that Sunday and Monday was an emotional meltdown. My partner's mom health plummeted. And so I was in and out of the nursing home all day on Monday, switching things. We had to move in a hospital bed. We had to, all this stuff. So I did hit the 24-hour mark. And as we were leaving the nursing home, and my head was pounding, and I had been having my water, I wasn't like neglecting the water intake. I had just had a meltdown. I had a complete meltdown.
Yeah, but you're under a stress, like that's a totally
Right. Well,
different,
that's
you
why
know.
I'm sharing, because I don't take it as that I just had a meltdown. And I turned to Peter and I'm like, I don't care where we go, but get me food and get it to me now. And down here, we have what we call the snowbird season. And so restaurants are full, even on a Monday. And so if we hit the third restaurant, I'm like, just get me inside. But I didn't go overboard. That was in my mind when I walked in, was like, oh, you deserve a big cheeseburger and French fries and a big tall drink and all this stuff. And I ended up with a glass of ice water and a really good salad, and then I did not eat until the next morning. So I agree with Tracy at Tracy E, like the intention was there. And I'm laughing because I did tell my other half that I was fasting, but I was fasting to support Tracy. And he goes, why? Why? And I'm like, why? Like that whole thing. And then when I had my meltdown and he goes, but you're fasting. I'm like, oh, yeah, but nobody's perfect. Get me to a restaurant. So I agree with Tracy E. I want to do it some more, but sometimes I like to do it at different times. Like sometimes I might do a 12-hour fast, meaning I'm going to have something when I first wake up, and then I'm going to go the whole day and have something later on. Sometimes it's like the whole thing. I do believe fasting is good for your body. But because of the way I work out and everything, my trainer does not, she would have a conniption fit if she heard this episode and found out I fasted even for 24 hours. She would have a meltdown on me. But
You're training for races, so of course, but
yeah,
I'm not doing any of that. It was
no,
really, can I do it? Can I really
Right.
do this? Because I mean, it literally scared the bejesus out of me. I was just like, I don't I don't know. And I'm still in awe of you, Tracy, that you commit to this every Sunday night and you do it, because it's not that it's really hard, but it is a commitment. It is like
And it's a
a
discipline.
thing.
It's a discipline.
It
Yeah.
is. It's a discipline, and you do have to mentally go, I'm all in. I'm all in for this. And sometimes that takes a little bit of
We're here with the
effort and work to do that, you know?
Yeah, and I was going to say
Yeah.
about for Michelle, she's already got the mindset on because she's
Oh,
doing
wait, Michelle. I'm sorry, my phone's just going to
who else is
crack.
there? She already
Like-
has the mindset with the race, so she's doing
Right.
her mental mindset. So you know what I mean? Like it's we're all doing our own thing in that sense. So I totally would I would think that anything to do with fasting would, again, you would talk to your coach and whether she gives you
Right.
the green light and things like that. What was your like what was your most, like you said you had a bit of an aha moment. Like what was that about?
Oh.
Two things really. I chose to be curious. So that left self-judgment at the door, because the
Okay.
moment you're curious, you are, for me, I then am now looking at this in a third party way of what can I garner from this? What information am I going to get from this? This is going to be interesting. So that really helped, number one.
Which, and
And
as you said, you could apply to any situation.
anything, you can take that to anything. It's like, okay, let's just get really interested about how this is going to look if I decide to do this. You're right, like literally for anything. And the other aha was, I had put the intentionality into doing this, in that I had thought about it, I had pre-planned it, I had set myself literally up for success. Putting the notes out to me was setting myself up for success. I got up the next morning and went, okay, today's the day we're not eating, we're going to fast. This is going to be good. We're just, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? Right. So I already had that, prefrontal cortex engagement on obstacles that are potentially going to show up. Right. Which was for me just the curiosity of, well, let's just see what happens here. This is going to be interesting. Right. And just to challenge that thought when I actually was, hey, get to the fridge. Hey, get to the pantry. Right. It was like, oh, this is interesting. Why do I feel like I need to do that right at this moment? Which I never bothered to do before. Like literally, I would just go to the pantry, go to the fridge, get what I wanted and come back and do whatever it was I was doing. So the intentionality part was, even though I know it, it was like I actually got to really see it in play. And I was like, that's really interesting. And it was further solidified for me when I did not do that the following Sunday and said, I'm going to fast. And then I didn't do it. It was like,
And I think what's really awesome here is that self-reflection. When you kept saying like, why? And we're afraid to ask ourselves that question. I always think of the little kid who's always asking why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? Why? And we get frustrated when we have to answer that question, when it's such a powerful question. Just why?
I mean, again, it was just, reaffirming I can do hard things. When I set out and do a challenge, and I commit, I know I've got my own back, I can do it. And that obviously all in and of itself feels really good, to have that accomplishment. So yeah, I mean, and I would encourage anybody who's listening to this to actually, it doesn't have to be a 36-hour fast or whatever, just whatever you feel is like, ooh, this feels a little uncomfortable. I'm not sure I'd be able to actually do this. That's the thing that you want to hone in on, because that's exactly what happened to me when you told me you were fasting. I was like, oh, that's really fascinating. And then I was like, oh God, I could never do that. Ooh, that's really fascinating. I wonder if I could, oh, I could never do that. Like, this is like, I just kept going back and forth in that thought process, right? So if anybody is listening to this and feels a little pull in anything that is, kind of like, ooh, you got to jump in and do it. And do it with that intentionality to begin with of, okay, how am I going to do this? What's going to happen when I come across an obstacle? How do I think I'm best going to handle that? And then just execute that plan, right? And stay in that third party curiosity, because you do leave self-judgment. It's not about you failing, winning, or anything in the moment. It's about, oh, this is interesting. Look at this. Oh, I want to go to the pantry. This is really interesting. I wonder what this is about.
I
So
love that. I love that.
I would encourage you
I
guys
know.
to do it.
And I think of like people like, you want to take a class, but you won't because none of your friends will do it and you're going to go by yourself. That's a big thing to go. You want to go eat at a restaurant and maybe again by yourself, like all these little things that really challenge and we go, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal, but it is. And it gives us so much confidence. And yeah, I just love that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I do
So
too.
thank you,
And she did a
Tracy.
great job. Huh?
I said thank you to Tracy for saying
Oh, I
that she's
know.
asked.
And I think that's wonderful that we became uncomfortable, and we both had different outcomes for different reasons. But yet we were uncomfortable, and that's what we learned. That's when we get our biggest learnings, is when you're uncomfortable. So if you've tried fasting or have questions about fasting, make sure you put them down in the comment, because we'll have a follow-up episode about it. But also, if you know somebody who is thinking about fasting and doesn't know about it, make sure you share this with them. Maybe we can help them with some insight. Make sure you hit like and notifications. Every Wednesday is a new episode.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.